Hello, welcome to the Breaking Barriers podcast, powered by S.O.A.R, Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation. Yes, we are a 501c3 nonprofit that helps people with disabilities get back outdoors. That being said, let's talk about a subject that you don't hear people talk about often. And I believe it is a topic worthy of talking about, needing to be addressed. And it's about men. What do you do when you feel emasculated? And how does that emasculation come about? For me, it was breaking my neck at the age of 17. And for people that have, whether it's a spinal cord or traumatic brain injury or injuries of the sorts that really changes you, it changes more than your physical ability. And you don't realize that at first. It takes a while to understand that this change really changed and shook your identity, your independence, your confidence, maybe your sexuality, for a lot of reasons, your role in a relationship, career aspirations, sense of purpose. All these things alone can be devastating. But when you add them up and start to look at what a severe injury causes outside of the physical paralysis, it's pretty devastating. And the feeling of emasculation is really not uncommon after, as I said, a spinal cord injury or other accident, a traumatic brain injury, and other types of things that affect your life. So it is something that isn't dealt with overnight because you don't realize it overnight. It happens little by little over a period of time. Now, I've been in a wheelchair over 45 years, and I cannot say that a year goes by where there might be a situation that makes me feel less than. The beauty of it is, for me, I've learned how to get rid of that feeling and deal with it within a couple minutes. So the first thing, and I'm going to give you all the tips how to deal with this. First one is redefine what masculinity means. I know we're guilty of, especially as men, defining it by what we can physically do is a big part of it, right? Our strength, our athleticism, our sexual performance, financial success, and possibly do everything independently. Being able to care for a woman, being able to care for a family, to take care of. So that, I believe that's what most of us think. But after an injury, whether it's spinal cord or something else, that definition really is shattered in our lives. So let's look at a definition of masculinity that might include things like character, courage in adversity, commitment, integrity, emotional resiliency, grit mindset, leadership, things that we are capable of, serving others, keeping commitments, protecting and providing in whatever way you can. Maybe, even though the physical abilities might be taken away, the character cannot be taken away. The integrity cannot be taken away. The attitude cannot be taken away. There are things that I just talked about that nobody can remove from you unless you given them permission to remove them for you. So keep that in mind. Let's first start by redefining masculinity. Let's also look at grieving. There is no time period for grieving. I lost my dad 3 years ago. That first year didn't bother me much. It hurt. We were best friends. It bothered me. But I'm telling you, it wasn't to year 3 that it really, really came to light more times than the first year. Even though I think I grieved, I think I grieved more year 3 than year 1. So you lose something significant, right? When you have an injury, when you lose a parent. So it changes your life. You may lose physical freedom. You may lose that future you expected. And yes, there's going to be certain experiences and opportunities you don't get. And it's okay to grieve some of those losses. Losses is part of the process. But now comes the grit, the quadfather part. Now what? Now what? Now what do you do? How do you get over it? Grieving's part of the process. But that now what is an amazing question to ask. And the answer is stop comparing yourself to your pre-injury self. That is simple. Doing it, maybe not so simple, but the comparison is unfair. That's like saying I was a better athlete at the age of 18 than I was 14. No kidding. Things changed. Things are always going to change in our lives. So you can't compare yourself. You can't measure today's reality against a life you no longer have. Write this one down. Comparison is the thief of joy for anybody in any situation. It will ruin anything and everything you have. The real question to ask yourself is, how do I become the strongest version of the man I am now? How do I do that? And it shifts the focus from loss to growth. That simple. It shifts the focus. Develop mastery in other things, because you still have a mind. You still can be happy. You still can smile. You still can think. And in today's times, I got hurt in 1979 with technology. Very few excuses for people not to develop the mastery in things. I don't care what it is. It could be public speaking. It could be coaching. It could be entrepreneurship. It could be writing. It could be advocacy. It could be mastering being the best parent you could be. Faith leadership, mentorship. I don't care what it is. And pick up hobbies along the way. You still can maybe fish. You still can maybe hunt. You still can maybe do photography. Mastering something creates and transcends your physical limitations. That's a fact. Take it from the Quadfather. The more you master, the less your physical limitations are front of mind and driving you down. Next step, recognize the strength that you've already demonstrated. Most people will never face what you faced. That doesn't make it better, but I think you have to recognize that getting up every day, navigating your disability, managing setbacks, enduring pain, and continuing to move forward takes a certain level of grit that able-bodied people really don't have to develop. So master that. Is it easy? Never said it was easy. Nobody promised life was going to be easy. Nobody promised life was going to be simple. But I've learned how to master it. That's why I've been so blessed to be where I'm at, do what I do, and achieve what I achieve has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with me getting better. I'm still a C6 quad. I still can't use my hands. I still don't have balance. I don't have use of my bladder or bowels or control over it. I don't have anything different physically, but my mindset, my heart set, that's extremely different because of the work and time I put into it. Another thing you can do is focus on purpose, not limitations. A man with a mission feels less defined by what he can't do than what he can do or what he's chasing. A man on a mission is tough to stop, especially if he puts his mind to it, because now you start to build that purpose, that mission possible based on things like faith, family, service, things like building a nonprofit, helping others with disabilities or without disabilities, teaching lessons, volunteering, because purpose creates meaning, and meaning creates confidence. If you do not have purpose every day, and there are a lot of people who are able-bodied that don't have that purpose every day, they don't have that confidence every day, they are missing it too. So this isn't just for people who are disabled. This affects tons of men, millions of men. And I guess in the form of giving yourself grace, allow yourself to be loved. I know it's hard to believe that there's somebody out there that could love you even though you feel less than a man. And it does happen that we feel this way. The truth is that every human being depends on another human being. Some dependence is simply more visible than others. It's that simple. We have no idea when you see a couple, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, who's depending on who for what. You can't get there alone. And we need other people in our lives. Everybody does. Accepting help while maintaining dignity, gratitude, and self-respect is not a weakness. That is a strength. I've spent a lot of years going through situations that could have buried me. Dating, being rejected dating, going out, asking girls out, being rejected, going for a job, being rejected. No idea, was it my qualifications? Was it my looks? Was it the wheelchair? I don't know. It almost doesn't matter, because I'm sure it was a lot of little things, maybe revolving around the wheelchair. But the fact is that I'm confined to a wheelchair. And the fact was that I was not going to let it stop me from dating, from working, from finishing school, from life. And I just kept moving forward. The no's were like stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. The rejection were stepping stones for me, not stumbling blocks. I try not to take it personal. Why? The wheelchair is not my person. It is a mode of how I transport myself around. I've been married 37 years. I'm blessed. But as I said earlier, I've been married 37 years because I bring something to the relationship. I bring something every day, numerous things every day, whether that's courage, whether that's leadership, whether that's serving, protecting, whatever that is, I bring every day. As a man, you got to bring it every day. It's just that simple. Whether you're not feeling good, whether it's been a tough day at work, whether it was a tough night, these are characteristics women want. They want somebody to make them feel secure. They want somebody who understands purpose and has a purpose for them in their life. They want somebody who's emotionally resilient. They want a man to lead in certain ways. They want you to keep your commitments. They want to feel protected, even from a wheelchair. Trust me, my wife, my kids, they feel protected. They understand. But that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But if I did it, you can do it. There is no reason you can't do these things that I've been so blessed to be able to do myself, but not alone, not even close to alone. I've had a lot of support. I've had setbacks. I've had things get in the way. Don't think that you have to do it alone. Don't think that doing it alone means that you're independent, because the worst thing I see, especially for people with disabilities, is they try to do stuff alone by themselves, and they think that makes them independent. It is not what makes you independent, just doing things alone. And trust me, I do things alone. I do a lot of things alone. But it is not what makes me the man that people love and respect. That's all I have for you. I have to talk about a company out there that has been sponsoring our podcast called Next Day Access Southwest Chicago. And they are out of Burr Ridge, 16 West 251 South Frontage Road in Burr Ridge. And trust me, the work they do, the way they care, is amazing. They do stair lifts, they do vertical platforms, they do wheelchair ramps, they do bathroom safety. There's so much they do. Their phone number is 708-620-8192. Look for them out there, because there's somebody and someone that is giving back to the disabled community. And it's not just the disabled community they're supporting the able-bodied community by providing this accessibility. I am Brian P. Swift, aka the Quad Father. This is a little bit different than what you're listening to. My buddy John is not on this one, but I thought it was an important message that needed to be delivered by someone who has lived through this years and years. Anything you see me talking about is from years of living and learning, years of failing forward, failing in a way that has made me more wise, more intelligent. This isn't about Chat GPT, this stuff you hear from me. This is the real deal. You can improve your life. You can improve your situation. You can learn to thrive instead of just survive. And that's what this podcast is about. So please share it, because the more we can share it, sharing is caring. The more I can share this and build, the more opportunity I have to get people to sponsor it, which means more money into the nonprofit, which means I can help more people with disabilities. It's that simple. It's a simple equation, and all you have to do is click. All you have to do is subscribe or share it or make a comment. So please do so. You have a great weekend. This is Brian P. Swift, aka the Quad Father. You are listening to Breaking Barriers, powered by S.O.A.R. God bless.